Welcome everyone to a special bonus episode of the Riftwalkers. As you'll hear, for this next season we are going to be playing with the Genesys narrative system instead of D&D 5th edition. We've played something similar before in our Star Wars show, The Skeleton Crew, where we used Edge of the Empire, which is really just a more focused version of Genesys. Genesys is setting agnostic, which means it can be molded to any time or place. Many of the additional rules we used from Riftwalkers Season 1, like wounds, strain, flexible initiative, and so on, were actually pulled from Genesys. We like the system because it allows us to capitalize on the story elements of a scene, especially during combat, and players rarely, if ever, end a turn having just missed or done nothing. There's always a chance to make an impact. Instead of hit points, players have wound thresholds. Exceeding your wound threshold means you'll fall unconscious and suffer a critical injury. Unlike in D&D where crits just deal more damage, critical hits in Genesys are rolled against a table with dozens of options, some manageable, others absolutely debilitating, where the result determines what effect a player or enemy is saddled with. Characters also have strain thresholds, which is how much stress they can endure before becoming dazed, stunned, or incapacitated. Along with the new rules come some new dice as well. Genesys uses a unique set of D6s, D8s, and D12s, with some special symbols that you'll hear us say plenty of times. Rolls are made in a dice pool, with results canceling each other out to determine the final successes or failures and just how good or bad it is. Those symbols I mentioned can be successes and failures, which cancel each other out, advantages and threats, which also cancel each other out, and triumphs and despairs, which count as successes and failures that do cancel out, but provide additional narrative modifiers that remain. Let's start with the D6. These are either blue boost dice or black setback dice. They are given to the player if certain conditions apply, or if they possess special feats or talents. For example, if you're trying to sneak down a hallway, but the lights are on, you might get a setback die. The D8s come in two flavors as well, green ability dice and purple difficulty dice. These make up all standard rolls you'll hear in Riftwalkers. The number of ability dice a player rolls is based on the attribute that governs their skill, while the number of difficulty dice is based on, well, the difficulty, which ranges from simple, 0 difficulty, to formidable, which is 5 difficulty dice. Lastly, there are the D12s. These can be either yellow proficiency dice or red challenge dice. These are used when a foe or obstacle is particularly difficult to overcome, or when the player has ranks in a trained skill. Only these dice have the triumph and despair symbols on them. For example, if a player with 3 brawn, the Genesys equivalent of strength in D&D, is rolling a hard athletics check to break down a door and has 2 skill ranks in athletics, they'll roll 1 green ability die and 2 yellow proficiency dice, along with 3 purple difficulty dice. Let's say their foot has been injured previously though, so the GM might give them a black setback dice. If one of their allies is helping them, they could also benefit from a blue boost dice. That player would roll all these dice together, count up, and cancel out the symbols shown, then say what's left, giving them the result of their action. Another rule you'll hear often are story points. These are also called destiny points and are referred to as light or dark, or in the player or GM pool, respectively. These can be used to modify story beats outside of combat, like remembering crucial information or packing just the right gear needed for a moment. In combat, these can be cashed in to upgrade ability dice to proficiency dice, or difficulty dice to challenge dice for the GM, spent on certain talents, or to use each player's unique heroic ability. Total story points are rolled for at the start of each session, so about once every 2 or 3 episodes for us, and flip back and forth between the player and GM pool when used. That covers all the rules for dice and tokens in Genesys. There are 2 more fun things to clue you in on. The first is something I just mentioned, the player's heroic abilities. These are custom-made abilities that have spectacular effects in and out of combat. Only the player characters have heroic abilities, and you'll get to see each of them in action over the course of the season. Lastly, we have obligation. This is a persistent narrative trait that each player selected. Some have debts, some have duties, others have secrets or addictions. Every single player has an obligation to fulfill. Each has a number value to indicate its severity and are added to the total group obligation. At the start of each session, the GM will roll a D100 and, if it falls within the range of a player's obligation, everyone suffers a penalty to their strain. That player suffers even more and their obligation is activated, meaning it's more likely to arise over the course of the story and really put a wrench into things. Players can acquire and shed obligation over the course of the campaign, for good or ill. That just about covers our little crash course. You'll get an even shorter breakdown from Ryan in episode 0, and we'll get to see how things play out this new system in episode 1. It may seem like a lot, but it's intuitive, and once you start listening, you can catch on real quick. Just like we all did. Thanks for listening, and be on the lookout for more updates on our social media and Discord for the Riftwalkers.